This is your 20-minute podcast, where we do our best to give you useful information in 20 minutes or less. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast, and our special guest today from Ohio is Jamal Maxsam, the author of the book Skip the Rat Race: How to Seize Your Bright Future and Live It Now. And that's a great title and a great subtitle. Welcome, Jamal. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, David, for having me on your show.
You are very welcome. So tell me how the book came about.
Well, basically, the book came about from the concept of from leading a school and just working with young adults and adults from different walks of life. And during the discussions, I found that a lot of people want to be successful, but have different definitions of success. And so the first thing I want to do is help people understand that success looks different for everyone, how to help them really learn how to define what success is for them. And then I began to write and put material together to help them take strategic steps towards making those goals and dreams a reality once they have defined their level of success.
And what's your experience in putting all this together? Are you an educator? Or are you a businessman? Are you both?
I have experience in both. I have degrees in business as well as I'm an educator. I teach students. Currently, I'm a principal of a elementary school that services grades kindergarten through 5th. And I also do some work with some nonprofits here in the Ohio area where I have the opportunity to speak to and do seminars to adults of a variety of ages and income levels. And so, but it's really my passion for business that really helps me in this vein that I work with.
Yeah. In fact, my daughter-in-law is a principal in Beaverton, Oregon, of elementary school, and she handles the same grades as you do. So I feel a little bit of a connection. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool because you learn a lot from leading a school. Because leading a school is more than just working with the students, because you have to shift to be able to grow adults to grow children.
Yeah.
And then you have to shift in learning how to help parents. And so there's a lot of different dynamics that come into play. And then you have the business aspect where you have to run the business side of the school and be a business person to deal with budgets and vendors and different things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So all of those experiences really help.
Absolutely right. No question about it. And she does run it as a business and has the time of her life with those kids, so I'm sure you do as well. That's pretty special, enjoyable career when you're able to touch kids that way, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I really enjoy it. The kids, they just need someone to love them and give them direction and help them grow.
Yeah.
And they definitely will respond positively to what you're doing.
No question. So Skip the Rat Race will help you discover how your perspective affects your success, the role of mental maturity in success, and how to prepare to experience success. And I totally get what you're saying about each of us define success totally different. And so how does your book tap into those different kinds of definitions?
Well, basically, it just helps. It walks the reader through a self-evaluation on really identifying their dream. And then with their dream, they can identify, okay, this is what success looks like for me. And it gives them practical steps on how to move towards making that a reality. Why have a dream and why have a definition of what your life should be like if you're not going to experience it? And so for me, I feel like whatever your dream is, whatever your passion is, you should be doing it, because no matter what you achieve in life, if it's not that thing that just wakes you up in the morning, then you won't be fulfilled. And so we walk you through those kind of steps, and we help people shift their perspective, because I know you mentioned that, because sometimes it's how you view a thing will determine if you can make your dream a reality. Some people may not like their present employment, but it may just be how they view it. If they view it as, okay, maybe this is my mission to help this person's vision come to pass, or this person's vision become a reality, then I find fulfillment in that. But if not, then what am I getting out of this position besides pay? Because it can't just be about the money. What am I learning to increase my skills to put me on the path towards fulfilling my dream?
And I think most of us, if I think this is a fair statement, most of us who feel at least like we're fulfilling our dream, part of that dream is to pay it forward and to pay it back and to bring people alongside you in some fashion. You think that's fair?
I do. I think that's fair, and I think you're exactly right. Because John Maxwell says, there's no success without a successor. So if you're not helping someone achieve their dream, then there's a piece of your dream that's not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because nobody is an island. We're all connected in some kind of way. And so when other people are just as successful as you and just as fulfilled as you, it brings more fulfillment to your life.
Boy, I could not agree more. When I was in radio for a very long time, I did a lot of different things, but when I was a sales manager as well as a general manager of a group of stations, I always told people that I want to hire my successor.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
they had a hard time understanding that until they got to know me well enough to know that was really part of my passion. Was part of my deal was, hey, I'm here, I'm having a great time, I enjoy what I'm doing, but if I can help groom you to take my job, I'm all over that.
Exactly. And some people are, and this is why I talk about the role maturity plays, because some people haven't matured to the level to understand that. And so they think they have to compete with you in order to have your position versus learn from you to have your position. Because I believe that you have to hire the person that's going to take your job. A leader will hire other leaders and develop other leaders and not develop a group of followers. Because
Absolutely.
A group of followers will always be dependent upon the leader. And so a leader can step away and know that the organization or the pieces of the organization will run smoothly and effectively without that person.
And that you got to have that. I mean, especially in this day and age where we're doing the rat race, I think that's a very appropriate title, is we're going 100 miles an hour. We want immediate gratification, whatever we're doing. We're in the microwave society, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have that kind of structure where you're hiring and developing leaders instead of followers, boy, those companies don't last long, do they?
No, they don't. And they're short-lived, and they don't have anything lasting. Because when you're talking about building an organization and being a leader, you're talking about your legacy.
Yeah.
What is it that you pass on to the next generation to help them better? And what do you do to your current generation to help them better? And so if it's just a short-lived kind of thing, it's almost not as effective as it should be, because you can't have that lasting impact.
So if you're an employee and there's a burning desire inside of you that you've only shared with your wife and your dog, maybe, about wanting to become a CEO, how do you discover that piece of you, acknowledge it, and let it out?
Well, the key to that is you have to figure out, are you really meant to work for someone else? And so when you are working for someone else, if you constantly have the desire to take on leadership positions, or if people are training you for leadership, and you really know that you have the feeling like this isn't it, that there's more. And so that's when you need to start really looking at, should I really be a CEO? Because when you run someone else's company as if it's your own, 9 times out of 10, that CEO in you needs to be let out. And so once you acknowledge that, then you can really, help the vision of the place you're working, because you're running like it's your own, but then also take the skills that you're learning and be able to apply them to a different scenario when the timing is right for you to step out into your own venture.
And I think that, at least that was my experience, is you treat the business as if it were your own. That way you have, everybody sees that, whether you say it out loud or not, you model that for the rest of your team.
Yes, exactly. And it helps them to learn how to take ownership of the company, in the business and, operate as if it's their own.
Yeah.
Because if no one takes ownership, then you have a group of employees that really don't have the same passion and care for the company as you do.
Absolutely.
You have to have that sense of ownership and instill that in your team.
And one of the other things that people have a lot of trouble with, and in fact, my wife and I talk about this from time to time because she does not embrace change in any way, shape, or form, and I embrace change like I'm having a cup of coffee. I mean, I love to reinvent myself. I love to keep my eyes out on different ways to change the way I look at things, the way I run my business, all those kinds of things. And it seems to me that if you're going to be successful in this economy that we're in, some level, you either have to embrace change or surround yourself with people that can help you embrace that.
Exactly, because the only thing that really nothing stands still. Either you're changing and adapting or you're declining. And those who don't embrace change are really declining and don't know it. I've actually ran into that scenario as a school leader where I walked into a situation leading a school that was stuck in the past, the glory days. Right. It was, it would never be as good as this again. 5 years ago we were at our heyday and we'll never be that good. We can't do anything different than what we did 5 years ago. And unfortunately, they were on the decline because of it. And so you have to always be open to new ideas, fresh perspectives, fresh ways of doing things to even stay relevant.
Absolutely.
So you have to change. That's really the only way to be successful.
What you believe is going to manifest itself. I mean, perception is reality, and if you believe that the heyday was 5 years ago, guess what? The heyday was 5 years ago.
Exactly. When people say perception is reality, and I put a new twist on that.
Yeah.
I say that people's perception is their piece of reality, and it'll be the piece that they experience. Because facts and reality don't change. The fact of the matter is, your business is at a certain place. That's reality. But how you see it affects your ability to adapt, adjust, and interact with reality.
Well said. Well said. Adapt, adjust, and interact. Those are three. That could be the title of your next book.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down and work on it.
So one of the things that you talk about when you're sharing people ideas about your book, you say don't spend your life wishing and hoping for a better future. Let you help them create that and live that. So if I'm a person that in my heart of hearts, I know that I'm wishing and hoping for a better future, how can you help me create that and live that now?
Well, what we'll do is I'll sit down and just really talk to you to find out what that is for your future and really get you to define it, not in superficial terms like, oh, I just want to be happy. I mean, where do you see yourself living? What income level do you see yourself at? And then we'll compare that to your present state. And then I'll ask, what's the help to figure out, okay, what are my next steps to do to work towards this dream life? For example, if a person really dreams to live on the beach somewhere, then, and they don't, like say if they live here in Ohio, but their dream is to live in Florida, I would ask them, what are you doing? Are you searching out good places to live in Florida? Are you getting research on the cost of living, looking at potential career opportunities? Are you visiting there frequently? If you would even like to live there, not just during holidays. And so I'll really help them take specific strategic steps to move in the direction of their dreams. Because a lot of times some people, I found certain categories of people. Some people have dreams and never do anything with them. Some people have dreams and write them down, but never really take strategic action. And then there are others who have the dream, they write it down, and they take strategic action. There's a lot of people create vision boards and things like that.
Yeah. I'm wondering during the process, when you help them figure out a strategic plan to go after their dream, you discuss ways to help them live their dream. Have you ever found somebody that in the course of that process actually changed their dream?
Who haven't clearly defined their dream. Because as we begin to talk, they may have thought it was one thing, but then they discover it was another. To some people,
that's what I was wondering,
when they really break it down, it may be something different than they thought. Because initially certain people say it was based on cultural norms or based on things like, well, my goal is just to get this promotion. Okay, why? I mean, is it just because you want more money, or is it the stat? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people find, okay, what I thought was my goal really isn't my goal. Something else is my goal. And what they thought was their goal was actually means to get to where they were trying to get to.
There you go. So, do you counsel people long distance? Do they have to live in Ohio? I know you're all over the internet with social media, but how do people reach out to you and have a conversation?
All over, as you said, social media. But, I do a lot of counseling, all over. I use technology like Skype, Zoom, and other methods where we can have face-to-face meetings.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of setting up a webinar platform if it means necessary to really help a person. Because right now, everything is so easy. It's easy to be international and be without borders. And so I try to utilize those methods to help us.
Good for you. So you are pursuing purpose with passion. I see that on your email signature. So that's every time you write an email, that's a reminder of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been my mantra since the time I was 19 years old. Actually 18. I believe you not only have to go after your life, this is to do it passionately, because nothing comes to passive. You have to be aggressive and passionate to go after what you want. And that's when things kind of fall into place.
That makes a lot of sense. The book is Skip the Rat Race. Can people get that on Amazon and other places?
Yes, it will be available in July. It will be available through my website, but also on iTunes and Amazon and other places digitally, and as well as through my publisher, Blackheart Books.
Very good. You can reach out to Jamal on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can email him. Find all those connection points at his website, jamalmaxsam.org. That's Jamal, Jamal Maxsam, Maxsam, jamalmaxsam.org. And again, the book is Skip the Rat Race. Hey, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, Jamal. Continued success with your book, your passion, and your students.
All right. Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. You've been listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower and our special guest, Jamal Maxsam. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/your 20-minute podcast.
Until next time, don't forget to download your free audiobook at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. That's audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast for your free audiobook. And thanks for listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower.